What's up again, everybody? Well, since we posted our last video about the Superman spoilers, we actually got some more cool Dice Masters news in the form of play-at-home OP kits. And so today we're going to talk about what those mean and give a little bit more information as to how you can pick those up, because apparently you can pick those up in a couple of different ways now. So as I mentioned a few days ago, and I think the same day that I posted the video about the Superman spoilers, WizKids announced and then subsequently began selling on their website a play-at-home Dice Masters OP kit. And if you are new to the game, or if you just weren't around or didn't have a local scene or a local supported store that actually did OP events, OP kits are basically organized play kits, that's what it stands for, wherein the store that you were playing at could buy these and then offer these promos as prize support for playing in an event that they organize. Okay, so if your local game store organized a draft, these could be the prize support for that draft. You could buy up a lot of these as they were released. They used to be monthly things that would be sent out or purchasable to the game store, and they could keep these on hand, and then anytime you'd run an event of any sort, they could offer these OP cards as prize support for that event. And it was a way to just encourage organized play, both in the form of just like casual games, casual tournaments run through a store, or perhaps more high-level competitive events back when they had those. This was prize support for those events. Well, of course, with COVID keeping everyone out of stores and stores not even really being able to be open to in-store play at all, WizKids has been producing these OP kit style, like play-at-home OP kits for HeroClix, which apparently has been very popular for HeroClix, and it's really cool to see them trying the same thing here with Dice Masters. I do think it's in general a very good idea to implement some sort of like an OP kit idea while everyone is still kind of confined and quarantined to a certain degree, and it all depends on where you're at in the world and you know, how things are going there. But the idea here of releasing organized play kits that you can have at home, I think, is a really, really great one, and I'm glad they finally took the plunge and did that. They did it in a very interesting way. Ooh, I'm flickering. Why did I flicker? I don't know. They did it in a very interesting way, though. They released these 3 cards that you can pick up on their website, and they're all Spider-Man themed cards. Like, they're all they're all including Spider-Man. I mean, he's one of the cards. And so it makes you go, huh, I wonder where they got the art and the cards and like the design. I wonder, they're clearly Spider-Man themed, hence why I put Spider-Man behind us, by the way. It's just kind of interesting to think, oh, that Spider-Man set that was canceled, perhaps this is like perhaps these are cards from that set. You know, it seems very coincidental that they have these Spider-Man themed OP cards on hand, but they didn't release the Spider-Man set. I don't know. It's just an interesting thing. Like, why would they release Spider-Man themed stuff if they were just designing it from the ground up? They could have picked any IP or really any like kind of character. It's just kind of interesting that we have these Spider-Man cards. So we'll talk about the cards here in a second, but I do want to say this. So if you go to the website, WizKids has their own store. They opened up like right towards the first couple of months of COVID. If you go to their website and you want to buy these for yourself, the 3 cards are $10, and then you'd have to pay shipping. And the shipping, I think, is like $4 to $5 as well, depending on where you're at. And so that's kind of like a pretty big hit when it comes to shipping. What I've seen some people talk about doing is some people have gotten together and purchased multiple packs of these OP kits. So instead of just buying the 3-card pack, they would buy like 5 packs of it. So they would buy 5 sets of the 3 cards. And apparently on the WizKids website, if you get over $50, you'll have free shipping. So that could be some way that you could pick this up. But I did reach out because I saw the question asked online. I saw a couple of people ask the question, can we buy these from our local game store as a way to support that local game store? Like, can the local game store purchase these at a like a retailer price, and then can we buy them at MSRP from them? Doing so would then avoid like a $5 shipping fee that you would also have to cover. So I reached out and I asked that question, and I got a response, and I want to read this exactly how I got it. So let me go ahead and go to the message, clicking the button and going down and reading this. So I said, blah, blah, blah. Are those available for stores to order so that we can buy them through an LGS that players may want to support? And the response that I got was soon, if not yet. So, in other words, if you want to support your local game store and pick these cards up at the same time, whereas normally they would buy this in a set and then offer them as prize support, apparently, if it's not already live, it will be live soon. You should be able to approach your local game store, say, hey, I want to get these cards. Can you order them? And then can I buy them from you? And that is something that is apparently in the works. As a WizKids has officially told me that and allowed me to say that on this video, I can say that to you. So check with your local game store. If you've already purchased these cards, I guess you've already purchased them, but you should tell your local game store and anyone else like in your community that hasn't purchased these cards to go to your local game store and see if you can have them order it so that you can buy it from them. Not only do you give like just this singular purchase some support to your local game store through buying these, but perhaps by asking, it will pique their interest further, and hopefully they will further want to support picking up Dice Masters product so that you can then buy it from them in that way. Right? Makes sense. Okay, so now let's talk through the 3 cards that you would be getting in this bundle. Again, you're getting these 3 cards. You're not getting the dice for these, and that's an important thing to note. So if you're buying these and you haven't bought into the Infinity Gauntlet Draft Pack set at all, then you're going to need to do that, or at least pick up the dice from somebody online. Now, of course, buying dice is honestly not going to be a very hard thing to do, but the fact that this doesn't come with dice is something to remember, because in order to play these, you would need the dice that correspond to these cards, and those come from the Infinity Gauntlet Draft Pack set. So the first card in this bundle is Typhoid Mary, Violent Tendencies. It's a 5-drop Bolt Mask character with the, I think it's like the Black Hand. Is that what it is? The ninjas from the SpiderMan and just like the Marvel kind of thing. The Black Hand affiliation. It's got the same stat line that we saw, of course, in the Infinity Gauntlet Draft Pack set, the 012-114-245 Burst Face stat line. The ability says, energize your Sidekick character dice and Black Hand character dice get +2 attack and Overcrush at the beginning of this attack step, which is kind of cool. So it doesn't trigger until the attack step, but at the beginning of the attack step, your Sidekick character dice will gain +2 attack, and any Black Hand character dice that you have will also gain +2 attack, and they gain Overcrush. So that is pretty boss. That would be really cool to mess around with. Getting 3/1 attackers with Overcrush seems like a lot of fun. Now you got to pay 5, and it's a crossover die for this effect. And you do have to miss, so that's kind of weird. You have to miss the character roll, so 33% of the time, 2 of the 6 faces, you're going to get the Energize effect and give all of your sidekicks +2 and Overcrush. Now, there's not a ton of Black Hand affiliated character dice out there in the world right now, particularly in Modern in general, so really this is something that you're only applying to your sidekicks more often than not. So kind of a cool card. I would try this out and just mess around with it. It's a little unreliable in the sense that you're only getting this effect on the Energize, but with a roll and a reroll, maybe you can make that work. There's also stuff in Golden that you could set this to the Energize side, so you could trigger the Energize effect that way. The second card is a basic action card, which I think is actually a really cool way to do this. I think they should release more OP kits in general with basic action cards. I think that would be really cool because it's one where if you pick this up, you don't need to get dice for the card, right? It's a basic action, just like all of the other basic actions, you just use basic action dice for it. So this is Slingers, a 5-drop basic action die. It says, at the beginning of your attack step, your opponent chooses one of your character dice that can't attack this turn. 2 target character dice can't block this turn. So in other words, when you play this really expensive 5-cost basic action, you get to pick 2 of your opponent's dice that can't block, and they get to pick 1 of your dice that can't attack. To a certain degree, this is kind of bad. If you're like looking to just push like one big overcrushing character, you never play this. But if you're looking to go wide and just push a lot of little things that do equal amounts of damage across the board, like say, I don't know, pushing with all those sidekicks that just got buffed by the Typhoid Mary. They're all 3/1s with overcrush. Your opponent says one of those 3/1s can't attack, but I say two of your things can't block. I'm happy with that. Now, it's kind of expensive, so in that sense, you're like, and it's like maybe you don't play it, but you could play this for the global. The global says pay a mask, target character die must attack this turn. So automatically this can slot onto any team as a basic action slot, and it can just taunt things out of the field. Right now we don't have that on a basic action card in Modern, unless you buy this card, in which case then you do have access to that in a basic action slot, which is pretty cool. Now, the other nice thing about the game of Dice Masters and the distribution model here is that if someone else buys this and plays this, you have access to it. So, like if someone slots this onto your team, or onto their team, I should say, in their basic action slot, you can still use the global. That's kind of cool in that sense. But if you want the ability to slot something into the globals, or sorry, into the basic action portion of your team, like using this global instead of onto a character die spot on your team, then now you have that ability with Slingers. So kind of a cool thing all around in that sense. And finally, the third card, and one with just fantastic art, and coincidentally, it's the same art that is used on the promotional material for the SpiderMan campaign box. This is SpiderMan Wallcrawler of Forest Hills, a 4-drop fist character with the SpiderMan affiliation, using the same stat line from the Infinity Gauntlet set, 033144155. It says the first SpiderMan die you purchase each game cost 1 less, so this could be a 3-drop if it's bought first. And when he deals damage, I'm going to describe the recruit mechanic here. It says recruit sidekick. When like a Spider-Man die deals damage to the opponent, either via like overcrush or it just gets unblocked and deals damage to the opponent, you get to take a sidekick die from your used pile and then put it into the field on its character face. Now, normally you'd put like whatever the recruit mechanic is going and fetching, that thing from the used. It could also come from reserve, or it could come from prep. You'd take and put that, I think it normally goes to level 1, but there is only 1 level for a sidekick, so you just bring a sidekick from somewhere and put it into the field, which is kind of cool. Recruit in general is really hard to use because you have to either have a character that already has overcrush and then deals overcrush damage, or the character has to vacate the field by hitting your opponent in the face and going to the used pile in order to trigger the recruit effect. So in some ways, recruit is one of those kind of weird keywords that it sounds better. It sounds better on paper than it probably does when you're actually watching it happen, because yeah, I recruited something, but I lost the die that does the recruiting. Or yeah, I recruited something, but I had to give this thing overcrush just to get that thing from the prep or the reserve or the used to come out to the field. So it's a little strange in that sense, but this is still a really interesting and cool card. The fact that it can be a 3-drop and a 5/5 on top also makes it pretty interesting as well. By the way, we should mention that this is a max of 6. You can run 6 4-drop Spider-Mans. At the stat line that he is as a 5/5, that's not too out of the realm of possibility, but you're almost never running 6. It's still kind of cool to see a max 6. Maybe they should just keep pushing maxes. Like max 10. Give me a max 10. I would take that. I would just for the memes, and this is the kind of player that I am. Just for the memes, I would take like a max 10, and just one time I would put 10 dice on it just to say that I've done that in the game of Dice Masters. So the higher the max, the more funny it is to me. So that's an interesting little tidbit. So those are the 3 cards in this OP kit, this play at home OP kit. What do you think about the OP kit idea? I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I'd love to hear your ideas and feedback, and maybe it'll change my mind. I would love to know what you think about these in a comment below. Let me know down below if you like the idea of organized play kits going forward that can be purchasable directly, or if you'd rather just give this to the LGS and then win it through play down the road. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.